Andretti Autosports' ongoing bid to join the F1 grid was hit with a massive roadblock at the Miami Grand Prix, as the owner of F1 laid down a vendetta against former F1 world champion Mario Andretti. The huge motorsports team, with the backing of one of the biggest automakers in the world, GM, has been jumping through every hoop F1 has set up for them to enter the sport, but has constantly been rebutted. Liberty Media CEO Greg Maffei made it crystal clear why that is at a meeting in Miami. Today, I'll check out Maffei's vendetta against the Andretti family and how the American legal system and former F1 Chief Technical Officer Pat Symmonds could fight through that to earn Andretti Autosport a spot on the grid. Everyone knows the story of Andretti Autosport's attempt to enter the F1 grid by now. The team, led by Michael Andretti, the son of former F1 world champion Mario, passed through the FIA's Expression of Interest program, only to be denied entry by the sport's financial powers. Formula One Management, or FOM for short, denied Andretti's entry on the basis that they didn't think they would be competitive and that they didn't offer anything to the sport. There was a lot of fluff in the actual rejection letter, but that was what it boiled down to. They did leave the door ajar to an entry in 2028, when a Cadillac-badged engine could power an Andretti car, but there was no guarantee or promise of entry then, just an offer to reconsider a proposal. Michael and Mario have not taken the rejection lying down. They believe they've done everything asked of them to enter F1, and now see no reason why they shouldn't be able to take a spot on the grid from 2025 or 26. FOM would argue otherwise, given the reasons they gave in their rejection letter, but proving either of the points in favor of either party is almost impossible. Would they be competitive? Maybe. They have succeeded in other racing series, but that is no guarantee of success in F1. Would they add value to Formula One? Maybe. A true-blooded American F1 team could help galvanize a growing market, and Cadillac is a world-recognized brand. But can Andretti show a nice chart with an upward arrow as proof? No. Neither of those things can be proved true or false without allowing Andretti into F1. In spite of the rejection, the Andretti team have continued their efforts to gain entry to the sport. At the recent Miami Grand Prix, Mario Andretti was present at an invitation-only breakfast reception at the Palm Club. Also present were many of Formula One's top brass, including Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali and the CEO of Liberty Media, the owner of Formula One, Greg Maffei. At the breakfast, Domenicali asked Andretti about his recent visit to Washington, and Andretti told him he'd been invited by lawmakers to speak outside of the Capitol as they called on the sport to accept Andretti's application to become F1's 11th team. More on that in a minute. Speaking about that moment, Mario told NBC News, "I was asked to go there, and just as I was trying to explain to Stefano, Greg Maffei, Mr. Maffei, broke in the conversation and he said, 'Mario, I want to tell you that I will do everything in my power to see that Michael never enters Formula One.'" It was a reference to Michael Andretti, Mario's son, who is the chairman and CEO of Andretti Global and is leading its bid to enter F1. The tense words between the two powerful men came just days after Andretti joined lawmakers outside the Capitol for a news conference where the members of Congress accused F1 of engaging in anti-competitive practices by denying Andretti's application. Maffei walked away after that remark and hasn't contacted him since, Andretti said. "I could not believe that," he continued. "That one really floored me. We're talking about business. I didn't know it was something so personal. That was really… oh my goodness. I could not believe it. It was just like a bullet through my heart." While Greg Maffei may not be involved directly in Formula One management, as the CEO of their parent company, he has the power to ensure that the Andretti team do not ever race in Formula One. This open attack on Andretti is proof that the continued denial of entry is about more than competitiveness and money. It's a personal vendetta by Maffei against Andretti. The situation between the two has escalated in recent weeks, with the opening of an inquiry into Liberty Media's involvement in Andretti's rejection. It was launched by the House Judiciary Committee, which oversees the administration of justice within the American federal courts, federal administrative agencies, and federal law enforcement entities. A group of influential senators also called on the Justice Department and the Federal Trade Commission to launch an antitrust investigation into what the lawmakers allege are illegal, anti-competitive practices by F1, to protect the mostly European teams from US competition. The Department of Justice already has an interest in Liberty Media and the breaking of antitrust laws. There is an ongoing investigation into Ticketmaster and Live Nation, owned by Liberty Media, with a lawsuit expected to be filed by the DOJ and a number of states in the coming days to break up the company, which has a death grip on the ticketing industry, strangling any competition and harming fans and artists in the process. The concern for the US Senate is that F1 may be acting on behalf of other teams, including foreign automakers, to deny Andretti's bid to enter the sport in 2025 or 2026, even though its governing body, the FIA, approved its application. Though after Greg Maffei's comments, it seems far more personal than that. It is possible that such a refusal to deal, especially if orchestrated through a group boycott, could violate US antitrust laws, the senators wrote. Last year, F1 hosted 3 races in America, in Miami, Las Vegas, and Austin, while no other country hosted more than a single race, they added. Clearly, there is a financial incentive to adding an American team to F1's roster, and there's no reason they should be blocked unless Formula One management is trying to insulate its current partners from competition. There has been some confusion over how the US legal system is able to intervene in the decisions of an international sport, with a governing body based in France and a headquarters based in London. But with the owners of Formula One, Liberty Media, based in the US, they're able to go after them. Since the US Senate has gotten involved in the matter, Mario Andretti has emphasized that he didn't approach the lawmakers and that they asked him to come after a recent Red Bull F1 show run near the Capitol piqued their interest. While Greg Maffei's promise that he will do everything in his power to stop the Andretti team making it to the grid is a problem, another issue is quickly arising. F1's Concorde agreement, which defines the terms of the financial side of the sport, is set for renewal in 2026, and something that is expected to be changed in the new agreement is the terms of joining the sport and how many teams can be present on the grid. The current agreement states that 12 teams are allowed to be present and that any new team joining must pay a $200 million anti-dilution fee that is split among the rest of the current teams to compensate for their share of the prize money decreasing. Red Bull boss Christian Horner was recently asked if the adding of new teams was a talking point for the new Concorde agreement. I'm sure it will inevitably be a talking point, but sometimes, if it ain't broke, there's no fixing it, hinting at the likelihood that the new agreement would limit the grid to the current 10 teams or make it almost financially impossible for a new team to join. However, Andretti have gained a new ally who could be vital in them finding a spot in F1 from 2026 onwards. Veteran engineer Pat Symmonds has left his role as Formula One's chief technical officer to join the Andretti Cadillac F1 program. The 70-year-old, a former technical boss of the Renault and Williams teams, will become Andretti's executive engineering consultant once he has completed his garden leave from F1, but it is probably his contacts and goodwill with Formula One that are more important to the American team. Symonds knows his way around the shady backstreets of Formula One and has played the political games of the sport for as long as anyone. He won world titles with Benetton and then Renault, with Michael Schumacher in 1994 and 95 and Fernando Alonso in 2005 and 6, but it is perhaps his involvement in Crashgate which he's best known for. Symonds, along with then Renault team principal Flavio Briatore, was banned from the sport for 5 years for his involvement in the Singapore Grand Prix scandal of 2008, where he asked Nelson Piquet Jr. to deliberately crash to help Fernando Alonso win the race in return for a contract extension, which would keep him at the team the following year. Symonds' technical knowledge of F1 is unquestionable. He led the writing of the 2022 rules and the 2026 rules. But if he can get Andretti favour with FOM and help smooth the way for them to join the grid, then he'll have earned his pay without ever drawing a car part. What do you think of Greg Maffei saying he will personally ensure that Andretti never joins Formula One? Has he gone too far? Will this come back to bite him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.